Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get cut. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
All right, guys, Friday actually got a decent amount of movement in the markets here, so could be an interesting Friday, although I really don't like trading Friday. I do wish I had taken some trades yesterday. I don't feel like I was in the right space. Tell you what, I don't feel my best this morning. I didn't go to bed super late or anything. It was kind of one of those, I got in bed, just didn't fall asleep as quickly as I would like. I thought, because I had a good workout and everything, that I would just go right to sleep and I'd be super rejuvenated this morning, but I do not feel that way. I feel worn down, and it is Friday. So, but who knows? We might have an opportunity, and I will just have to trade it anyways. You can see here, this move, a little bit of movement overnight. Well, let's start here. There's some rollover notifications for oil. So let's see here. That moves us to, is it, no, October is V. Yeah, so let's switch this one over. LV. All right. Do the volume profiles we got here. So the 10-year treasury having a pretty big downturn, and while this like little bump here in our terms pretty big, but really didn't pull back very much. But here in the overnight action, we're getting a pretty decent pullback of what we had yesterday. It's kind of weird because, like, I see arguments for treasuries to be going higher and lower at the moment, kind of based on different things. So here's the S&P 500 though. They looked pretty good yesterday, and I still believe that the S&P 500 is poised for a decent run here. I don't think that it's going to be like amazing, but I think that you're going to get probably a decent run in the next few weeks in the S&P. And hey, it's been a decent week, hasn't it? Oil going down. I mean, that's good for the other markets. I didn't necessarily catch what we had going on that would cause prices to drop, but I don't know. One of the things is that a lot of this up action was, oh, the Middle East is going to blow up and everything, but it kind of looks like that Iran has decided against that. So gold and silver here, back and forth, but not able to break out of the higher end of this range yet. Copper, just kind of sitting on its gains from yesterday morning. And the Japanese yen, well, the Japanese yen, they got hammered by that news, right? The retail sales, but they are pulling back along with the treasuries. And like, it's still this thing that I'm continuing to see every time I come and look at this chart that I think is interesting, is that the Japanese yen is no longer the most dominant factor in the dollar like it's been for the last few months. The other currencies are having a big impact now. So, the dollar is looking weak overall, even though, the yen has kind of moderated its rise after, everybody being stopped out. So, man, when you look at the oil on that chart, you see like, ooh, that's a pretty ugly decline here this morning. So Octavius going long right out of the gate. One of the things that I've kind of been struggling with on the treasuries here as of late is that I really kind of think that the earlier you take the trade, the better. So like, should I be taking a trade right now? I mean, if I was going to take a trade, it would maybe make sense. But I don't really think that I have any kind of flows that really tell me which direction it's going to be very clearly. So I'm kind of in a situation where like, I'm not really sure, but maybe I start to see a flow develop and I'm able to suss out what's going on and determine that it's going to continue and I can take a trade. That's going to be like later in the day, right? When there's less opportunity. And so that's kind of one of the things I've been struggling with. But that's probably a lot to do with it's the summer, right? So because I definitely recall, earlier in the year where oh yeah, I would come in like first thing I knew that I wanted to be in, right? Well, somebody in Discord asking about correlations with cumulative delta and everything. What about intraday correlation like ZV-UB lead lag relationship for catch-up play? There's you can make money trading the yield curve, but like the short term, trying to call the yield curve on a 1 to 30 minute time period is just like seems like a crapshoot to me. Seems like if you wanted to play that game, it's going to be like you're a market maker, and market making like that would be pretty taxing. Like you'd be placing orders and messing around with things all the time. The people that would be like yield curve market makers back in the day, that would be. I mean, I know that they existed, but that'd be impressive feat. Do you use? Well, yeah, I use the cumulative delta. I rely on it very heavily. It's just that the way that people use cumulative delta typically is dumb. It's just you can tell I didn't have a good night's rest and everything because I'm like way less filtered, right? What do I mean by that? So like what most people do is they'll pull up something like, do I not have? I have it on this one. Okay. What people will do is they have cumulative delta that's down at the bottom. They have price at the top, and then they'll look for a divergence of some sort. Oh, we didn't really have a divergence yesterday. That's interesting. We haven't had a really good divergence in the S&P. Okay, so maybe like this. Okay. They'll look at this and they'll say, oh, look. Cumulative delta is flat, but during that same time period, the S&P 500 is going down a little bit. So that must mean that it's that price action that's short is going to unwind and come back up, or they say, oh, that means the eventually the orders are going to start selling and I should sell and I should start going down. And then they trade that second one and it goes down and they say, oh, see, cumulative delta divergence works. But the reality is, if you go and you backtest cumulative delta, the limited backtesting that I've been able to do, what it says is that when cumulative delta and price are not correlated, like the correlation is 0 or negative, or below, that it's just a bad time to trade. That the market tends to be in the chop zone where short-term price movements are extremely difficult to predict, and it's just kind of a crapshoot. What you really want is there's a large meta order is coming in, they are executing. When somebody executes an order like that, yes, they do use limit orders, but it's going to be at best 50-50. Those big players, in order to get filled, they have to use market orders. They would love to get filled on a limit order, but most of the time, they're going to have to use market orders. And so in that situation, you're going to see a consistent trend in the cumulative delta, and you're going to see price move with that cumulative delta. So going back to the chart here, a move like this, we see cumulative delta very steadily rising in multiple legs. And what do you see? Price rising in multiple legs. That is the sign that I look for that there is a large meta order at play. And that is when I want to take a trade. Preferably before it happens. I want to take it somewhere down in here where it's like, it's not entirely clear that there's going to be a trend in cumulative delta. I take the trade. And then what I want to have happen is this, that cumulative delta just starts consistently pushing in one direction. I'm trying to, so I do not use any technical indicator as a sole reason to get into a trade or whatever. It's all just kind of little pieces of information that inform my trading, but the primary thing that's going to inform my trading are informational inefficiencies that I can use to predict what the future orders are going to be. And cumulative delta is the best measure for, proving that the situation that I'm looking for actually happened. Because sometimes you take a trade and you get lucky, right? Sometimes you take a trade and you get lucky. But I'm looking for a very specific thing to happen. I'm looking for, I'm basically saying, I think that there's this guy, he works for such and such a company, and he is going to buy a bunch of treasuries today because X reasons. And then I'm going to see it happen. And that's the proof that it's happening. Right? So that's how I use cumulative delta. It's kind of more of a confirmation or a target, right? Because that's another thing, is that I'll look at how much the delta has changed to give me an idea as to whether it's time for me to take profits. And you go back and look at the 2 trades that I took this week. It was extremely effective. Okay, I probably miss maybe 5 to 10 ticks on each side, but it's actually incredibly effective at telling me how far this is really actually going to go. So cumulative delta is an extremely useful indicator. It's just the way that everybody tries to use it, in my opinion, is dumb. Like the Uzi says delta divergence is a tricky play. Sure, it's a tricky. That's one way of putting it. But if there's some way of sussing out which side is going to win, because that's the problem, is you have a divergence, and then the question is, okay, so which side is going to win, the orders or the price? When you're looking at it like purely from a technical perspective, right? How do you know which one is going to win? Are there some additional filters and things that you could potentially use to determine which side is going to win? Maybe, but I don't know what they are. But I've tried back testing it a lot. I tried back testing it a lot, and the conclusion that my back testing said is that when cumulative delta and price are not correlated, that you don't have good trading. So much so, in fact, that one of the best strategies I ever back tested, and again, I gotta be kind of give you the caveats when I tell you this, because our ability to back test cumulative delta is very limited because we only get like a year's worth of data. Okay, but the best strategy I ever back tested in NinjaTrader was literally just there is some degree of trend in cumulative delta and price is correlated with that cumulative delta, and you take the trade. That simple. Like literally, you got cumulative delta and you add R squared to it. Shall I do that? Shall I do that for you to see what, so you can see what I'm talking about? I think we've done this before, but maybe I should just keep it on the chart because I, you know, it's something that we kind of come back to often. Okay, so we want R squared on here. Where are ya? R squared. And then instead of the input series being the S&P 500, I'm going to make it my cumulative delta too. You set delta on never, input series close. Okay. Period 8. Well, we'll just leave it like that. Eight might not be high enough, but I digress. Okay, so what is it saying? When R squared is very high, like above 0.75, like it is right here, okay, that means you're getting strong trends. You'll notice, by the way, like look at the exact point at which it crosses that line where cumulative delta is highly correlated is exactly where the pause is. Okay, so you're getting highly correlated order flow, and then I would add another one that would be, is cumulative delta and price highly, correlated to each other? What's the correlation between those two? And then if they are, I take the trade based on which way the trend is. That was the strategy. Was the best that I had back tested. And that's kind of part of why I trade the way that I do. That, and that all of the research that I'd done had kind of backed it up. What day did you take those trades? Oh, this past week, I took a trade on Tuesday and on Wednesday. I really should have traded on Thursday. Like what happened on Thursday was, I first of all, I didn't really think that, I didn't realize that it was retail sales and that was a big deal too. So like when I came down, I sat down and I looked at the calendar and I said, oh, it's retail sales. Like maybe we could have some opportunities like we had Tuesday and Wednesday. But I wasn't like prepared for them. Like on Tuesday and Wednesday, I had done a lot of research about what the CPI was going to be and the scenarios and what kind of flows that I thought I was going to see. Whereas on Thursday, I kind of had to do it on the fly. And so then when the number came out, after a little bit of, 5 minutes of analysis or whatever, I had a pretty good idea. Oh yeah, it's a significant change. We're seeing significant flows, etc., etc. But, because I wasn't prepared, and also in part because that move was just so much bigger than the other moves, I was not really confident on if it had already finished or if there was more to come. And you know what? There was like a couple of moves that I could have taken advantage of. I probably could have taken a continuation. I think that those would have been tough trades. I don't think that those trades would have worked quite as well as the two that I did. I mean, they might have been able to have made as much money, but I think they would have been a lot more stressful, and a little bit more finicky and kind of like fight me a little bit more. And then there was the reversal trade, which was kind of a little bit more of a combination of like a what do you say, contrarian play combined with a little bit of a technical setup. That's one that I could have played, but by that point I don't like trading against the trend anyways, so I should have taken a trade yesterday, but I screwed up basically. If you don't come in and you're not prepared, that really hurts you, right? So that's what happened. I have to own up to it. I do wish I had taken a trade yesterday. You know what? It's the summer. 2 good winners in a week on a summer is a good win for me. So I'm happy with it anyways. The trades I took Tuesday and Wednesday. Now next week we have Jackson Hole. So next week tends to be like super quiet. Like basically the market doesn't want to do anything until Jackson Hole happens. And then I'm not going to be here on, well, I guess I will be here. I guess I will be trading. But I'm supposed to get my elbow fixed. Part of the thing when I was working out yesterday, I was like, oh, okay, my elbow is a lot better than it was like 2 weeks ago. But not good enough that I can lift without it bothering me. So I'm glad I'm gonna. I just hope that the surgery like fixes it and that I don't, that it doesn't just like keep growing really strongly and I still have a problem. But yeah, I'm gonna get an elbow surgery, so probably won't be taking trades Thursday and Friday next week. Plus, don't we have Democrat convention next week? It's next week. So you kind of get this thing. Oh, where's my calendar? Yeah, there you go. So you got that week. And then, well, what is happening the 26th to the 30th? Seems like we should have some stuff that next week. My settings. FOMC meeting minutes, unemployment claims, flash manufacturing PMI. The week after that, CB consumer confidence, or PCE, Chicago PMI. And then you get into the beginning of September and you start getting data again. So it could be next 2 weeks could be kind of a little bit quiet. Next 2 weeks could be kind of a little bit quiet. But then after that, the week starting September 3rd, then we're getting data. Labor Day is past. Political season really ramps up. It'll be different. If for the uninitiated, okay, Labor Day is a big shift in the market. Between Memorial Day and Labor Day, the markets are just different. The liquidity is just different. We've had pretty good liquidity this summer, but it's a little bit flighty. And even when the resting liquidity is there, the market still behaves a little bit differently. I didn't even notice until now that like we're got 4,500 contracts at some prices. This is good liquidity this morning. But in general, like the summer action, especially in the treasuries, is just really a little bit difficult. So once Labor Day is passed and then all of that economic data comes in, then you get into one of the busiest times of year for the market. But like only the beginning of the year is busier. It hasn't been a particularly profitable time of year for me, but it does tend to be a busy time. Now on the same side, you have the same kind of dynamic plays out with politics. That like especially polling, the polling before Labor Day is generally considered to be unreliable. A lot of polling outfits modify their methodology afterwards. They start to poll more likely voters, so forth. So like you will tend to see a change in the polling after September. You will tend to see a change in the news cycle after September. So you got 2 weeks here to kind of like relax, and then it's going to be like all crazy again, probably. Or at least that's what I'm expecting. Shouldn't say probably, but that's what I'm expecting. You covered the long for 3, really? You made money off of that? That's not bad. Well, the way that this is going, like I'm just based off of the what we've seen it do, not any kind of flows that I'm expecting, just based off of what we've seen it do, I certainly kind of feel like that, hey, I should be looking for a short. But we had a big order come out at 07.5. So when I see big orders come through the market like that, that is, I don't want to mess with that. Okay? That shouldn't happen. That's either somebody wants you to see that and is messing with you, or somebody made a mistake. But either way, that often just like stops it. The treasuries will just like, they get stuck and they have a hard time getting away from that. So there's another article on Fox News about mass layoffs. Well, I don't know, man. It's mixed. So like, here's the thing. One of the arguments that I was seeing being made yesterday that really is an interesting argument is that what is happening right now, one of the big things that's happening right now in the economy that's different from past historical precedent is that government is taking up a larger and larger section of the economy. Okay? It used to be that people that worked for the government would make less money than the people in the private sector. That is no longer the case. The people that work for the government make more money than the private sector. The government is paying better right now, which is really kind of a problem, because basically you've got, Zero Head had a good article about this yesterday, actually. You've got, they call it the overclass, but you've got these people that they work for the government, they make money from the government, and then you've got the people in the private sector that are basically paying all of these people with their taxes, right? So the larger this class of people that are dependent on government work get, and the more money that they get, that has to, by its very nature, come at the expense of the private sector, right? And so when you look at the economy, yeah, when you see GDP, and GDP is positive, but when you take all of the government spending out of it, you're in a recession, and the private sector is essentially in a recession, right? So I think that you would see that there are companies doing layoffs. Like, there's a lot of churn. I mean, of these people, as far as I can tell, are getting new jobs. Like, the unemployment claims aren't ridiculous. The unemployment rate is still really good. You're in a situation where falling into a recession is a possibility, and a more elevated possibility than normal, but I don't think it's going to happen. Did you read the article about Subway not selling sandwiches? I haven't dug too deep into that, to be honest with you. I've definitely seen the headlines, and I looked at that and I was like, well, yeah, no duh, Subway sucks now. Dude, the last 3 times I've tried going to Subway were like a disaster. The quality, the quality of the sandwich itself has declined. It's too expensive now. It used to be a really good, cheap place to go to get food, right? But now the quality has gone down. It's more expensive, and the service that I get there is atrocious. It takes forever. They get the orders wrong, especially if you're going through the drive-thru. Boy, oh my gosh, what a nightmare. Yeah, if I want a sandwich, I go to Jimmy John's or Mike's. I won't go to Subway anymore. I used to go there all the time after I left my old job and started working from home back in 2012, and I haven't been now in nearly 5 years. I really like, if I'm gonna get a sandwich, I really like that, like a big club with lots of lettuce and pickles. You kind of like it's zesty and crisp, and that's a good sandwich. And Subway kind of moved away from that, You know what it was is that sweet onion teriyaki chicken sandwich, was just too popular. It ruined them. really ruined them. Yes, we like Jersey Mike's. They used to not have that around here. Subway did a rebrand and it was terrible. I don't know. One thing was that they did like redo their menu through COVID, and I felt like their menu was worse as well. You know what I used to love? This is I shouldn't admit this. I'm gonna date myself so much with this, but I used to love Quiznos. I used to go to Quiznos, man, like 3 times a week or something. and it was like what was it? It was some sort of bacon turkey melt sort of a thing. And I don't know what it was about it. It's like the taste of it, I can't even remember anymore. I just remember that it was like, it felt like such a unique flavor and it was so good. And it started doing the same thing that I'm seeing at Subway, where it was just like 2008 came along. They started doing all of these cost-cutting measures. The sandwich wasn't as good as the quality of the ingredients and everything weren't as good. The service wasn't as good. And then all of a sudden one day they just went out of business. Could that happen to Subway? Probably not. Probably if something's happening with Subway, they just rebrand it and, So I doubt that it completely goes away, but, it could have some problems for sure. They were good. I didn't get why they cut off the end of the bread. A lot of people don't like the heel. What was this comment by Paul? Replacing a nice full-time job with insurance and benefits and going to a part-time job without anything is something happening to many, so they aren't happy to still be employed. Yeah, that might be true. And I think that there are a lot of people that are like underemployed or like have to have multiple full-time jobs or multiple jobs. Like apparently the number of people in the economy that have, because that's like part of the survey, that has gone up quite substantially. So it's not a good thing. But like just go back to that whole thing that I was saying about government workers, right? Like there are a few sectors. One of them is anybody that works for the government. So that includes like direct government workers, that includes defense contractors, these kinds of people, right? I would say that finance is still okay. Tech is still okay. I mean, a lot of people got laid off from tech, but if you're still in tech, you're doing okay, right? Like really anything that's kind of high skilled, so like lawyers, doctors, etc., they're all doing fine, okay? But everything that you would consider like working class are really struggling right now, or they are really struggling right now. That's why this whole thing with the economy and Kamala Harris is really kind of funny to me. Like in all honesty, I like the stuff that I saw yesterday in the political sphere. I was just outright laughing in my chair, like reading on my phone, because a really large portion of people on the left are the people that are in these industries that have been benefited from the current macroeconomic framework. Like especially the low interest rate regime really benefited tech, and tech has become a huge portion of the support for the Democrat Party, right? And these people, they don't realize, they just think, oh, I had a job, I did a good, I did a good job at my job, and that's why I've made so much money. Well, like, look, I'm a pretty good programmer. I work hard, I do my best, but at the end of the day, the reason that I make as much as I do is because I picked the right industry. I knew where things were going. First of all, I had been interested in it since I was a little kid. I'd done all of the research all through high school. And then when I, learned the economics, I kind of learned how to navigate that industry. I was going to go into video games. A lot of people making video games right now not doing so hot. Like I was able to see where it was going, right? It was because of the path that I chose, and not necessarily how good of a job that you did. And this is the thing that I continue to see is like, you don't necessarily get paid for how hard you work, and not even necessarily for how good you are at the individual job. A lot of it just has to do with that's the sector that the money is going into, and like efficiency overall. So you got this huge class of people that have a ton of money, and they think it's because they're so smart, and they don't realize that the reason that they've been making so much money is because we've been in a low interest rate regime where debt is super, super cheap, and all of the manufacturing and all of the working class jobs have been exported overseas so that everything can be super duper cheap for you. And these people don't realize that that is not the way that life is for the other 50% of America. And so when they go in and they try and play these political games, like, oh, yay, they brought inflation down. Doesn't Kamala Harris get credit for that? No. You raise interest rates to 5%, inflation's going to come back down. That's not something you celebrate. That's bad. That's something that's bad for everybody. That's something that is preventing like 80% of people from being able to buy a home right now, right? They have no clue. And it's really hurting them in the polls right now, I think. The more that economics is the subject in the political race, the worse Kamala Harris and the Democrat Party will do. Why? Because there are people in this economy that are struggling. It seems like they're going with the monkeypox thing again. You know what, Uzi? The only place that I have heard anything about monkeypox is on the rising page of patriots.win. I really have not seen these people that are talking about monkeypox. I know that there are like official organizations that have like issued warnings and things like that, but it seems to me like most of the conversation that I've seen about it are right-wing people concerned that they'll use monkeypox as some excuse to lock down again or something. It's been detected in Pakistan now. Whoa, okay. That's kind of interesting because it's basically a sexually transmitted disease. Like that's the other thing. I don't think it's an airborne disease unless something's changed. These headphones, I like the way these headphones sound, but the headband in particular is a poor quality. I feel that, and it feels terrible. Yes, and among a specific demographic too, right? Yeah. I mean, I remember when this came up the first time, and it was like the media was trumping it up as like this is the next big scare or whatever. And then, you know, people kind of figured out how it got transmitted, and everybody just shut up about it. Whatever. But here's the thing on the economy, okay? Yeah, there's parts of the sector, of the private sector, that are really struggling, okay? But you're still getting a lot of spending from the government. You're still getting a lot of support. Financial conditions are not that tight right now. Federal Reserve is set to reduce interest rates. So, like, you've kind of got a situation that's not that good and is getting worse, but it does not look like something that's going to turn into a recession. And what's most likely to happen right now is that the people that are investing now and so forth will, in the end, benefit. I can remember back in 2008 to 2010, so many people that, you know, just everything is terrible. This is going to be a depression. You know, America's reckoning is coming, etc., etc. And that was like the greatest bull market ever, right? And the people that invested at the beginning of that, you know, are like set for life, and then everybody else is just still kind of, you know, like crabs in a boiling bucket of water. Especially when kids and dogs started appearing in head. Oh, ooh. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I'm not gonna touch that one. I'm not gonna touch that one. Man, I thought that there was another kind of segue into the next thing, and I don't remember what it was. We were talking about sandwiches. I guess I got this thing in the back of my mind that there was a thread in Change My View on Reddit where the person was saying that Donald Trump engaged in a coup. Essentially, he said that it was a coup, and so people were arguing about it. And the counter arguments against what this guy was saying, I thought were actually really well done and well presented. And I was commenting to some person in the underneath of part of it about like the whole fake electors scheme, because one of the things that I think happens with that whole subject is that a lot of people don't understand the way that the electoral college works, because like they select in specific people to go and be those electors and go to that meeting. I mean, I guess it's all kind of performative, but you know, there are people, and who that person, who those people are, depends on the outcome of the election, because like the party basically picks, you know, who they are. And you know, so I pointed that out, and I got like so much, very many like way overdone responses to that. And there was one person in particular that like really wrote a response that kind of, I don't want, you know, nobody else is going to read it except for me, but it just kind of irks me. And that's kind of in the back of my mind now. But I should like not focus on it too much, because like I should just, you know, after the stream or maybe tonight, I can go and I can write like a good response and maybe add some research and stuff. But I don't know. The thing that was funny was, as I said, well, you know, and there's like past historical precedent for like alternative slates of electors. And then this guy like got so mad about it. He's like, that's not even the same thing. And then he went through and listed out the historical precedent for proving my argument. It was so funny. So that's going to be like in the back of my head all stream. Actually, you know what? Something that is worth talking about, though, that we could get into on all of this is like when I look at the arguments that I see Democrats make and all of that, I'm really starting to think that what they're really trying to say is that once the media has called an election on, you know, the next day after election day, that's it. You can't change it after that. That's really what they're saying. So, like, if there was an election and then in the weeks ensuing, election fraud was proven and it proved that it changed the results, you wouldn't be allowed to change it. And as far as I can tell, the whole thing is kind of set up to make it so that it's really hard for you to challenge those results. Like in many instances, when there were court cases and so forth last time around, they were thrown out because of standing. So they're basically saying that like once the new leader has been anointed on election day, that's it. You can't challenge it. I find that a little disturbing. But at the same time, I'm also kind of starting to realize that like the system of democracy and the mechanisms of the modern world basically make it that way anyways. So really, if there's going to be voter fraud, you can't overturn voter fraud. You have to prevent voter fraud from happening in the first place. Is your only option, essentially. Because once it's happened, everything is kind of set up to work against you exposing it, right? Because if there was a vote and certain people thought that they won, and then, oh wait, hold up, actually they didn't win, you know, several weeks later or several months later, oh actually they didn't win, that would be a huge problem, right? In terms of people's trusting democracy and people trusting the system and all this and that. And so it's just not allowed to happen. It's just not allowed to happen. And they might not consciously realize that that's what they're arguing, but I really am starting to think that that's what the Democrat Party is arguing when it comes to, is gold busting record highs? No. I mean, well, let's come back over here. Well, gold is doing its best since July, and I think that July was around the time that gold was like super great. Silver. So this underperformance of silver, I don't know what kind of causes that, but like the silver hasn't been doing as well for whatever reason. And this in particular was like really devastating, right? So when we come and we look at it on gold, that's kind of more this area. Beginning of August. I guess the deal is that from 2400 to 2540 is kind of not that big of a range, and is kind of, but actually it is a big range. It's like how much of a difference is that? It's about almost 5%. I don't know, but it is doing well this morning, isn't it? Gold is, it's worth noting because like the treasuries are actually kind of on the downside still. I don't know if Octavius ended up taking a short off of that, but you know, like the stopping spot where I was like, I don't want to mess with it right now, 07.5. You would have had to have waited for quite some time. Yeah, from about about 30 minutes. So maybe the timing is right now and I missed it. I wouldn't say that the downtrend is that strong, but treasuries are on the are around the downturn, and at the same time, gold is rallying really hard. So gold is diverging from other instruments in a way that it is highly unusual. I bet you Zero hedges it because they love gold over there. Hackers may have stolen every American social security number from a background check firm. That's a problem, that there's somebody that there's even a company that has everybody's social security number. Well, I don't know. Your social security number probably wasn't as safe as you thought it was to begin with. Housing starts and building permits plunged to COVID lows in July. Oh wait, did I miss a number? I think I did. I think I did miss a number, guys. U.S. housing starts was at the bottom of the hour. Well, there was no reaction to that. So. Well, there was a little bit of a reaction because there was like a rise into it, and then ever since then it's been slow decline. But the big thing today is at the top of the hour we got University of Michigan, right? That tends to be a relatively significant data point with movement on it. So, actually, you know what? I'd say that the downtrend here in the treasury is getting pretty good. Like, so again, what are we looking for? Consistent trend in cumulative delta. The more that it is like a straight diagonal line, the better. And you're kind of getting that in the treasury. Like, you're getting enough of that. We could have justified a trade, or if we had taken a trade, and we'd be happy, and maybe we could stay in it, maybe not, based on how far we think it's going to go. So why are we getting that? Well, one theory should be that we have a report today. I need to make a better script so that I don't have to like do all this stuff manually. Sorry, today is... Oh yeah, it is the 16th. Oh, 8/14. I moved the template. That I already moved today, yeah. Housing starts lower than expected, and we've got U of M sentiment. It is end of week. Yeah, you know what? I think that I just forgot to turn my news squawk on, and I didn't hear them talking about it. It's the end of the week. Zen very liquid. Into quietest parts of summer. Okay, so based on this, I would expect the market to be relatively quiet, right? And we're getting more trend than I expected. So something's going on. So what might be going on? My best guess, based on the flows that we know about, is that they are front-running consumer sentiment and that they expect consumer sentiment to be good. So, like, like, right now the consensus is 66.9, and, like, what if they got, like, a 70, right? That would probably push treasuries down. So they might be front-running it. Futures rally fizzles as dollar yields and oil slump. Well, I don't know if I would consider the yields slumping, but they're rising back up again right now. So we should note that we're not quite to 3.9, which is kind of like the key point that we were at yesterday, right? So but nothing on zero hedge about gold right now. It does look to me like oil is not, like, I'm not a super expert on gold and everything, but what I find gold tends to do is it does this zoop, and then, like, that's it. So I I think that we may have already seen the high for gold. Let's see. Don't quote me on that because I'm not an expert on oil or gold. I'm not an expert on gold, but from what little that I have seen from it, that's what tends to happen. So I think that gold's run might already be over. One of the things I'm seeing a lot of on social media this morning was yesterday, I think it was yesterday, Donald Trump doing another press conference of some sort and hitting Kamala Harris as a socialist and talking about, that she wants to give everybody health care. And the Democrats loved that. I don't think that is a good strategy. Am I wrong? All of the leftists, they read that and they think, oh, yes, so it would give everybody a health care. That would be such an awful thing. They think that pointing out that they want to have some sort of a nationalized healthcare system would be something that like everybody would be in on. But I don't think it actually is, because all you're doing is you're pointing out to the moderates that don't really know any better because they don't know who Kamala Harris is yet, how extreme she actually is. And basically the more that people know about Kamala Harris and her past, the worse she's going to do under the current dynamics. So I don't think that pushing this healthcare narrative is going to help them. Like, it's kind of funny because like the only reason Trump is talking about economics and everything right now is because Kamala is supposed to have a speech today about it, right? And so they pounced on it. The media reports were that she's going to implement price controls. I think the funniest headline that I saw about it is like, if you're being accused of being a communist, maybe like don't make your first policy prescription be price controls, right? And I think that yesterday was one of the I would say yes, it was. Yesterday was the worst day so far for the Kamala Harris campaign. It was. Let's see how today goes. It's so funny that before Labor Day, I'm like the play-by-play, day-by-day sort of a thing. Well, okay. For a bad day, for the worst day that you've had of your campaign, yesterday wasn't so bad of a day. I'm sure there's much worse to come for her. Oh my gosh! Like the three first ones here. I'm browsing Reddit. Healthcare. Interesting as fuck. Has healthcare. Tax cuts for middle class Americans. Oh well, a tax cut. That's nice, I guess. That's today, so this is new. Let's read this. Kamala Harris is expected to propose a new plan to cut taxes for middle-class and lower-income Americans as part of her economic policy rollout. The plan would offer tax relief to more than 100 million Americans. Much of the plan revives or extends temporary measures that Joe Biden and congressional Democrats enacted in major packages when the party controlled Congress during the first 2 years of Biden's term. Oh boy. I have a problem with this one, man. This one bothered. Do you remember this stuff? Do you remember this, Uzi, right? Like the first 2 years of the Biden term, and like if you had kids, the government was literally giving you a check every month. The government was literally giving me money, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, listen, like I'm not the group of people that are struggling. You know what I did with it? Every cent went into the market. Every cent went into the market that they gave me of that. Was either that or paying for inflation. Made it very hard to hire women. So, dude, that's so funny. Wait, so There's a question. My idea is to start a laundry service. The reason that I have this idea is because I hate doing laundry. I would like to pay somebody to do it. And there are people that are in the area that I could pay for, but like I'm thinking I could make it down the street. It seems like that there's room in the market for it. Is a laundry service a good business idea? Because my other business idea is a snow cone shack. Snow cone shack because I think my wife would actually we should make it. Should we make it a poll? We should make it a poll. But if we're gonna make it a poll, I think that we need to have more than one business idea. I think if there's a poll, we should have more than one business idea. But like, because I think like the big, assuming there's a lot of research and groundwork that I would have to do, right? I would have to see how much the rent for the location is and how much I would have to invest up front for the machines and all of that sort of stuff. I'm pretty confident that I could get a small business loan to pay for all of that sort of stuff, though. So, I think I could do it. And then, I'd have to do all of the math about how much business I would have to get and everything for the business to work, right? But I think that, like, one of the things that would be a major factor behind it is, like, being able to hire the right people and everything to make a business that people want to come back to. Because you have to hire people. It would basically it would probably be hiring teenage girls to fold laundry all day. Like, you live in a desert, so an ice cream truck would probably profit. Yeah. There's not as many snow cone shacks around as there used to be, or as I think that there should. Like, the one snow cone shack that I know of is way, 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 way over there in Bountiful. They got a machine for that? Really? Wait, they have folding machines for that? Folding laundry folding machine? No, I don't think that they, it must be called something different. Quality folding, Foldimates, fabric cloth folding. How the Foldex folding machine can boost your laundromat's efficiency. Curbside Laundry's state of the laundry industry with laundromats. Hey, this guy is doing exactly what I want to do, isn't he? Well, so that's folding a sheet. That's cool. Hundreds of sorted garments per hour. Okay, but like, what is that? Is that a shirt? According to Voltex. Products. Dry work folders, garment folders. So I think we want garment folders, right? Towel sheets, blankets, gowns, t-shirts, undershirts, coveralls. How come pants aren't on here? Do I need a different machine for pants? Oh, they've got different ones. Okay, wait. So what's the difference? Oh, this one doesn't do blankets. Folding bathrobes is better than ever. I think we want the Flex Fold AG. Click to request price. Boo, come on. How much are they? I really hate it when you're like, you want to know how much a certain thing is, and it's like a high ticket item, and so it's hard to get the price. Yeah, that means it's expensive AF. Well, okay, but like $15,000 expensive is probably not a problem. $100,000 expensive might be a problem, right? Used garment folders for sale. Oh, that's the same website. Help me out here. How else could I try and figure out how much it's worth? Oh, wait. No, those are propellers. That's... Because if I have the numbers, and then I can go and do it, and then it's like, how many working hours is this worth, and all that sort of stuff. Curious on your thoughts on Fat Cat's last two videos on DOM liquidity in index futures. You're gonna make me go and search it up, and then I'm gonna end up on Day Trader 2 again. All right. This guy, right? The future markets are broken. An hour? Are you kidding me? Dude, who... I explained to it. Why do you guys watch this guy for an hour? Like, really? That's crazy. He says order flow doesn't work, but wasn't his whole thing that he teaches order flow? Well, now I'm confused. Where are you finding close folders? See, between 3 and 10K, that sounds great. Between 3 and 10K, yeah, like, we're in business, man. Yeah, let's do it. They're broken. Order. So you wanted the last two videos. I'm not gonna watch an hour of this guy, man. He's just telling people not to bother trading and spreading it over an entire YouTube career. This is funny, dude. Let's see here. I forget how to get grab YouTube transcript. I think that I was previously doing this with a plugin, so oh wait, does it just show you nowadays? They say click more and then go down to the bottom, show transcript. There it is. What did I just see here? The unnatural order flow in the futures market, and I explain exactly what I'm about to show you. Yeah, okay. No. Maybe if you trade ES, I could understand how if all you trade is ES, you might think that. Because it's a derivative. It's not... So anything that is not the primary market for what you're doing, the flows are going to be a little bit weird, right? The S&P 500 futures are not the primary market for this thing. There is so much volume in it that it moves. If you come in and you buy a lot in the futures, then there's all these robots that go and buy the individual stocks and kind of keep things correlated and everything, right? But you can have situations where somebody is buying the stocks really, really super hard. And meanwhile, over here, the futures traders, they're selling it. And the futures traders that are selling it have absolutely like no impact on it. And then you get those delta divergences because it's just speculators and hedgers over here. And over here, you have like the actual stocks that actually decide what the price is, right? So you can get weird flows. I mean, it's mostly in line, but you will see more divergences in the ES than you will in other instruments. Like in ZN, delta divergences, not common, right? One of the things that I see a lot of is that people, they're trying to talk about order flow and all of these sorts of things, and like all of their experiences based on ES, when it's a completely different beast from everything else, essentially. The equity indexes and FX futures, the order flow in those are completely different. Whereas I think that if you're trading order flow, you're probably better off trading treasuries, gold, oil, copper, corn, those sorts of things. Let's see here. Kamala Harris will call for the construction of 3 million new housing units in her first 4 years in office, as well as a new tax incentive for builders that construct properties for the first time. Well, that would be a good policy, except for that didn't Trump already have a similar policy? But you're right. You're right. The biggest problem in our economy right now is housing supply, and I'm continually shocked that there aren't politicians pushing and talking about this. They are in Canada because it's a big enough problem over there now, but in the US, it was not a huge discussion point, and it should be. And if Kamala Harris is going down that route, that's probably going to help her. Yeah. Let's not say that she's cooked, but cooked. Trump did have some policy prescriptions to address housing. I don't know. I never recall anything about like, we're going to construct 3 million new housing units, right? Also, is 3 million enough? I'm not sure if 3 million is enough, but we'll find out. I'm actually excited now because you know what? Like, here's the thing. Even if Trump might have to play catch up, but he will, right? He'll say, oh, my policy prescription is not specific enough or doesn't sound good enough to voters. He's going to adjust his message to compete with that. And overall, who wins? We win, because now you actually have people trying to address the housing shortage, right? It just doesn't matter. I honestly, guys, explain this to me. I do not understand why you like this guy's channel. Every video that he makes is like an hour long. He hardly gives you any information. It's all just kind of his opinion of things. I don't get why I get so many people kind of on the more order flow side of things that really like this guy, because I do not have the attention span for that. Like, I'm reading the transcript and I'm just trying to scan through the transcript, and I'm already bored because he's saying stuff that's like not, you know. Okay. Rating order flow. I made this video called VWAP trading. So he doesn't really explain what happened in that, because it's very apparent a lot of people didn't actually watch the video, because if you watch the video, you realize it's not about VWAP. Okay. So it's a VWAP video, but it's not about the VWAP, the unnatural order flow in the futures market. Okay, so prove that. Whereas, what are you talking about there? Prove that. I think you're full of shit. I think that you're just an average guy. And look, I'm just an average guy. But the difference is I went and I found research so I can actually like prove things to you. And I'm like not convinced that this guy knows anything of what he's talking about. I'm not saying that I think he's a fraud or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm not seeing in what you're saying so far the signs that you know what you're talking about, right? Sign that you know what you're talking about would be like citing some research or giving some statistics or things like that, right? And so it kind of drives me crazy when people are like, especially since they're like super long videos. And this one's, well, it's been August 1st, but like 8,000 people have watched that. There's no way. How did 8,000 people watch that? Don't get it. Like, here's, you know, one of my videos that, this is the one that kind of bothers me the most, and maybe it's just the thumbnail, who knows, but I made this one, how to trade the Federal Reserve policy. Only 742 views. I am literally telling you everything about the cycle with the Federal Reserve meeting and the month-by-month thing to be able to be prepared to trade the Federal Reserve meeting the day where that has like the most movement and like a really good trading opportunity, and it's all stuff that you can go and verify for yourself, like that it works this way, right? And only 742 people view that, and it's only 13 minutes, and meanwhile there's people willing to sit and listen to some guy ramble for an hour about who knows what. Explain this. Amir says we don't like it. Well, but like, it sounds like Morgan K watched the videos. You watched the videos, right? Or you wouldn't be asking me to look at them. Order flow coming through in futures just doesn't matter. Order flow is not natural. NASDAQ auction, ES auction. Yeah, so you're watching the index futures. So your first problem right there. He's talking about setups. It sounds to me, I thought that he was an order flow guy, but I guess the order flow to him means volume profile and footprint charts, huh? And not the DOM. He's bragging about how many views the video has. He said he still trades the DOM, I think. But the beginning of this video is he's telling you that the order flow doesn't matter. I watched every video about order flow, but this person is not pro. Well, I'm not pro. Listen, what's the only thing that's special about me was that I knew enough from my time at a bank to know where to find the research. And I read the research and you know, I had enough background to understand the research in a way that I can relate it to you. I don't think that's that special, right? That's kind of the funny thing, is that there's these guys that are brilliant, and like the top people in the space, they figured this stuff out, they proved it, they've got studies and empirical evidence and all of this sort of a thing, and for some reason I'm the only person that looks it up and relates it to you. But hey, I'm not going to complain, to my advantage. But I'm not a pro, for sure. It's a hobby. You can make money from a hobby, but it's a hobby. Like, I'm scanning through this super hyper fast, but all I'm reading here right now is I'm having a hard time trading order flow because I'm trading ES futures and it's not as easy as it used to be, and so I think that it doesn't work, is basically what I'm hearing. And well, like, listen, if you're watching the order flow and then you're looking for some sort of signal, and you're going to make your move based on that quote unquote then yeah, you are going to lose money, because it's not really order flow, it's you're trying to apply technical analysis to order flow, right? And technical analysis on very short time frames is not very effective. But what people just can't read in the order flow, like, is cancels. Nobody is going to be able to see when a bunch of orders get canceled. Yes, that's exactly what this does. Well, it only shows big ones. There's not a lot of activity today, so it's not picking anything up. Hopefully after September, you'll see those. Yeah, markets will move on LPs pulling their limits. Yeah. So like right there, I don't know, maybe if I read the context of it is, but what he's saying right there is just objectively false. You can see the cancels. Maybe people don't notice the cancels, I suppose, but like if it's a big one and it's on the inside, then people do see it and the market reacts to it. Footprint or even the DOM, you just don't know when they're going to cancel and they're going to. Well, so no. So again, that's not really true, and it's a misunderstanding of what you're doing here. I know that if we tick down like we just did, okay, well, there was 5,000 contracts at 03.5 and now there's 3,500. I know that when a price becomes the inside bidder offer, like it was one tick away and now it's the inside one, that there will always be a certain number of orders that will cancel. Always. There will always be a certain number of orders that will cancel. And what you're watching for is like, but how many of them, right? Like that almost there was like 5K there. It almost completely pulled, and now, only 500 is traded through it for it to tick down. Well, 1,000. Okay. That's what you're trying to notice. Is like before it was average 2,000 contracts to push things down, and now all of a sudden it's average 1,000 contracts to push things down. What does that mean? The market makers all of a sudden don't want to make a market at that price on that side, probably because you're getting a pretty good downtrend and they don't want to be in front of it. Yeah. Increased spreads? Well, on all of the markets that I trade, the spread is still one tick, so okay. Let's just scroll through until he gets to like a new headline, maybe? ES versus NQ? Well, okay, I'm not really interested in equity index futures. Kind of a crapshoot anyways. I was really hoping you guys were going to give me an answer here. Wait, here, go back. He shows RTY and NQES moving lockstep on the DOM and shows the DOMs moving on no orders, basically. Well, I mean, does he not understand that the limit orders are basically robots that are trying to arbitrage things out, and they will move their best bid and best offer based on what the actual index is doing? Hence why you can see the market move on like practically no orders. Does he explain that that's why that happens? Yeah, Phil, because you're in the way while it's an adverse excursion. Like seriously. This is an hour-long video. What hard information is he actually giving you in this video? Or is it just one guy's opinion for an hour? Because I want to be like, oh, let's address it and everything, but like, I'm not seeing anything in here that says it's worth my time. I'm already like, oh, I've already spent too much time on it, you know? And I know that some of you watch this. It has come up so many times, so I don't understand why. I really thought that you guys would say, oh, well, I like it because he says this, this, and this, but you know, I'm not getting that. Uzi says I didn't. Yeah, I know that you didn't. And Amir didn't. But there are, it's come up many times. People say, oh yeah, I like fat cats. There's people out there that like fat cats. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Like, the only conclusion that I can come to is that it's not about the information that he's giving you. Yeah. You overestimate people wanting logical knowledge or to learn. You underestimate people want to watch things that are hateful, big, scary. Yeah. Well, but that's just saying, well, okay, so that's a little bit of a different topic, right? There is the, okay, you watch the video. Why do you like it? Or why do you watch it? Or why do you like that creator? Versus, why is this creator popular overall? Well, this is the first time that I've seen a video with a clickbait controversial headline like that from Fat Cats. But for those particular videos, you're probably right that you kind of get the clickbait hate watching and or, oh, there's something really important that I'm going to miss. I have to watch this video, right? That could make a video more popular on YouTube for sure. My whole complaint with YouTube is that YouTube does not really show people the content that would be best for them. In fact, it kind of feels to me that the content that would be best for people in society tends to get buried. And especially since Mr. Beast kind of became a popular thing, that YouTube has become all about what is like the most shocking thing I can put in a thumbnail, right? And I despise what YouTube has turned into off of that. But that's the whole thing, is that markets aren't efficient. Algorithms aren't necessarily efficient. People will say, oh, well, the algorithm works, and so if the algorithm didn't pick your video, then it means it's not as good of a video, and I disagree. It just means that it wasn't as optimized to the algorithm, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the content that I think is the best for you, and if YouTube likes it, great, and if YouTube doesn't like it, who cares? You know? But that's a different thing from there. I know that there are people that are like regular watchers of that have like been here on my stream before, and that are regulars to the stream. And what is it that attracts them to it? But apparently they're not here today because nobody's saying anything. So it's weird. But I'm already seeing things that are like, well, you know what? Maybe I will have to go and watch this because I'm already seeing some things in there that are like, oh, well, you don't understand what's going on. Like, yeah, it moves. It moves without there being market orders in there because the robots are arbitraging. That's why it does that. There's still value in watching what the market orders are doing and which way they're going and watching how the liquidity stacks and falls. It's not as useful in equity indexes, but I could make a video that would be like top misconceptions about order flow, right? At the end of the day, the orders for price to move, it's orders, right? It could be limit orders pulling and canceling and whatnot, but it is like a you know, you pass the same set of orders in, you get the same answer out. It's not, you know, it's what is the word that I'm looking for, where, like, you know, the inputs and outputs are 1-to-1. Okay, well, we are like 30 seconds before the news here, so we are getting a full pull. You should post parts of your live stream that have order flow concepts and videos. I should spend more time editing up videos and turning them into shorts and other videos, for sure. Okay. So it is higher than forecast. It's 67.8. Sorry, what was that? 67.8 versus an expected 66.9. And they did sell. It was a small move, though. That's one that could very easily, like, retrace, too, so. But what did the inflation numbers say? 1 year, 2.9 versus 2.9, and 5 year, slightly higher than expected at 3% versus 2.9. So both the headline and the 5-year inflation numbers kind of suggest selling in the treasuries. We did see selling a few thousand contracts. Liquidity is coming back. I wouldn't say that it's completely recovered. Like I'm gonna have to take Adderall to be able to pay attention to an hour-long video like that. I mean, I can watch it at double speed and everything, but geez, come on, guys. Oh, okay. You know, the other thing, thinking about the Fat Cats. I mean, he's not like a huge channel either, so it's not like I think that our success is pretty similar. It's just that one. What shocks me about it is that the views that he gets relative to the length of the videos and the quality of the videos is like, what the F? Before that, we were talking about folding clothes. I still kind of want to. Can you tell me what website you're searching on to find clothes folding machines? Used commercial laundry folders for sale. Well, the problem here is like I can like request a quote and do inquiries and everything, but I don't, I want to know that I'm doing it the right spot. So, what are you saying about consumer sentiment? Yes, I know that we just had consumer sentiment. I found some that were on Alibaba and other nameless guy. Yeah, I gotcha. Well, that YouTube video that I had come across, that seemed like the thing, but I'm just excited to like when we end the stream and go over there and my wife's awake and to explain to her, hey, you know that they sell automatic laundry folding machines that we could use for a laundromat? Come on. Of course they do, but I didn't think about it. But I thought my whole thought was, hey, you're gonna have teenage girls doing it. Well, now you have probably still have teenage girls, but they'll just be putting it into the machine. I guess the first thing that I need to do as part of my research is pay an existing laundry service to do my laundry once and see how that works. Like, do they come and pick it up? Do they have their own bag that they put this stuff into? How did they return it to me? How is it folded? Like, what are the ways that the different items of clothes are folded? And I'll need to have things like I need to have different pieces. Like, there need to be some pants in there. There need to be some shirts in there. There need to be some like some bikini brief panties, to see if they fold the underwear or not, and socks. Some socks. What are some other items of clothing that might be folded weird? I don't know. Anyways, and see how they fold them all and everything, and then how do they return it to me? Do they return it to me in a bag as well, or how does that work? Or do I get a laundry basket returned in a basket and I get to keep the basket or something? Like, how does that work? Ooh, the Foldimate, it folds and irons. Foldimate. Well, that is a robot. That is like a consumer robot, that looks like. Commercial laundry folding machine price. I think my best, because this keeps popping up, is Machinio, and it says, you know, they've got like a bunch of different ones, and they're like, where is it coming from, and all the. Oh wait, here we go. Garment bagging machine, apparel folding machine, 28,000. Like, I think I might be able to just, okay, let's assume that the folding machine is 30,000. You know, how much business would that take to pay off? Like, how much time would it take to pay off, and all of those sorts of things. And there's a lot of research for me to do on this, for sure. Right now, the question is, which research do I need to do? Well, that's interesting. I was just, you know, while we were there on YouTube, I hadn't checked my notifications yet. And one of the notifications was, please start this playlist again about the election. Maybe I should make a video about that. But you know what? If I make a video about that, I think it will be not until after Labor Day, because then we'll have a better idea. We're in a period right now. Like you were saying, Uzi was pointing out that Kamala Harris was a lot of economic proposals. Everybody was jumping on the price controls thing, but she's also going to make proposals on housing. That would probably, I think, be to her advantage, right? So so far the campaign has just been, you know, nonsense, really. You know, like what's popular sort of a thing. Like high school level politics, and nothing to do with actual policy. Now we're seeing like the first battle on a policy battleground. That changes the race substantially from what we thought it was all going to be, right? So that's why it's not until Labor Day that you really have enough information to really start being able to make good predictions. Oh, here we go. Catalyst Athletics. Do you jerk less than you can clean? Yes. Then you can fix it. How do we fix it? I shouldn't be watching that. I should wait until after the stream. I don't care about weightlifting. The Snow White trailer is officially the most disliked in history. Did you guys see that? That trailer was a little, like, the aesthetic and everything was a little creepy to me. Critical. Oh no, that's not his. I was gonna say I'm interested to see what Critical Drinker thinks about Alien Romulus, because the promotion material looked like, hey, could be a good movie. Yeah, I'm just like playing through my head here again. Like something that I think is a really, really key piece of information for learning order flow that I don't think that I really covered very well in my videos is that you can't approach this like every instrument is the same and reading order flow and every instrument is the same. If you want to learn order flow, the best thing is to go and find really thick instruments, which really means trade the 10-year treasury. Okay? If you understand the flows in the 10-year treasury, then you're going to be in a good spot. But what happens is most people go to the equity indexes, and the equity indexes are a completely different beast because they are following and arbitraging off of an actual index that is composed of all of the individual stocks. So you see a lot of robots pulling and things like that. You see divergences more often, and that could be due to all sorts of hedging strategies and things going on with options and other instruments correlated to the equity markets. It's just a completely different thing from this is like the primary place that this particular thing trades, you know, like it is with treasuries, oil, gold, copper, corn, you know, these sorts of instruments. And so when you watch those, the kind of the properties of order flow that we talk about and everything, you're going to see much more clearly. Versus if you're watching ES, the majority of what you're looking at is just noise. Doesn't mean that there's not any valuable information there in the order flow, but the majority of what you're looking at is noise simply because of the nature of an equity index. And we talk about this on the stream all the time, and I just don't feel like I've hit that on a video very well. So I could make a video that's like misconceptions about order flow. Let's do this. Misconceptions. The first one is flows in equity indexes are very different. If you want to learn order flow, it's probably better you find a thick, oops. Basically trade ZN. Okay. And then the second one is orders pull. Most of the resting liquidity are just whatever place savers that cancel before they are executed. Yeah, big differences in products coming from equities and now trading at an energy desk, right? And day WRT. Oh, Oliver, you trade at an energy desk? Really? I would be really super interested to hear more about that and learn what sort of things they're focusing on and talking about at an energy desk. Because my understanding is that those guys, at least for that particular market, really, really know what they're doing. And I don't know, was there another thing in there? I maybe this is similar to the orders pulling, but arbitrage. Robots change their best bid slash ask based on correlated instruments. That's most likely what's happening. And price moves on very little market. Price moves without many market orders. There you go. So then I can go and I can watch that video and I can be like, here's all the misconceptions we can prove and explain what's going on. The size at 01 is killing me. Why? You don't like it? Looks like it's pulling 2,000, 2,600. Oh, there you go. So 2,000 to 3,000 per tick is average, right? Was that where your profit, your take profit was at? I'm surprised you held through the news on that. That's interesting. It kind of goes back to the earlier thing, which was like, there was some decent trend down earlier in the session. What was that flow about? Was it front running the consumer sentiment? I mean, the consumer sentiment was more hawkish than anticipated. So it could be. But then the thing is that even after that, they continue moving down, it seems. Well, what would be kind of the limits of that? Or not, let's not say the limits of that, but like, at what point does this start to trigger people and, you know, turn into unusual action for Friday? Well, there's 113 even was a key spot in the overnight. And then the low of yesterday was 25 half. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we start to like balance out and rotate around 113 even. And also that when we trade 113, that you get a decent amount of liquidity trades there. Probably an iceberg get the burst and all of that. You know, one other thing that I could put in here is, this comes up all the time, is dark pools. Transactions in dark pools usually are just turned against block trading firms that turn around and sell it on the open market. So you still see. So it still eventually results in overflow. Dollar wants to get. Oh, you know, this is a good point. The dollar has rallied pretty strongly here, and the yen. Well, I would say that the yen dropped after the news, but it's kind of like a bit of a wash. Plus, I've got these on different time frames, so it looks like that the yen dropped a good clip there off of around the news, and then continues selling off. So it could be the dominant factor, in which case it's difficult for me to predict if it's going to continue to move up or down. If the monkeypox virus starts spreading like COVID-19 did, there's going to be a lot of anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers suddenly believing in science. No, I doubt it. I'm really deeply skeptical of this situation where there's another pandemic and everybody starts wearing masks again. I think that most people have kind of come to the conclusion that that was dumb. And even if everything says that like it's in their best interest to do it, I think that the majority of people will say, no, we're not going to do that again. Vaccine may be different, but masks probably not. From r/science, feminism linked to increased hookup culture endorsement among women. New study shows for men, no significant differences were observed in hookup culture endorsement based on feminist identity or beliefs, indicating that feminism's impact on sexual liberation is more relevant to women. I'm telling you, man, once you see it, you won't be able to see the world any other way. A huge driver behind a lot of millennials is that they're just mad that their parents didn't want them to sleep around in high school. $113 even, 81. Yeah, they nibbled at it, but I'm expecting to see like a 5K there at 113 even. The hippo pox is coming. Hippo pox would probably be problematic. How did hippo pox cross over to humans? Monkeys. I see how that happens. It shouldn't happen. Some people are gross, but probably it happens. Hippos, how does that happen? That would be weird. There you go. 6,000 to clear 113 even, and there's going to be quite a bit more trade back and forth there. So that is your first sign that a liquidity hole could form at 113 even. We'll see how much more there is to sell. Like, the thing is that I'm not seeing super strong cumulative delta on this move. Like, the move that we got from like 7 o'clock my time until let's say the news. So like that whole hour, that would have been a trade that I could take. I normally wouldn't take it just because it's Friday, like, quite frankly, and I didn't have any flows predicting that, and I don't try and like front run. Oh, the news is gonna be this way, that's why they're trading it. I don't play that game. Maybe I should look into that more, but right now I don't play that game. But since the news, the flow has kind of been meh, and it looks like it's really more the dollar rising, the yen falling, and the currencies driving the treasuries instead. So what does that mean? Well, one, you are still probably going to see a lot of liquidity at 113 even, and like a lot of transactions there, right? But you could also still see it continue to move down because of the correlation, right? Well, so on the split side of that, I'm also noticing that the yield curve is flattening out substantially, and there's decent selling in the 5 years. So maybe it's not just the yen. Still, this area is a little bit dangerous just because, like, if I sell into 31 as an example, there's a really high chance that it kind of gets snapped back to 113 even, right? So if I was going to take a trade, I would want to have it above 113. Above the center of the hole. Because then worst case scenario, you can always, take the exit in the center of the hole. What? Today you call the hero trade? No, I don't think so. No way. Taking a long here? No, not on a Friday. That seems ill-advised. Like, okay, so here's the thing. The only theory that I have as to what has been the driver of the selling flows that we've had this morning was people front running and reacting to the consumer sentiment. Right? So if that is the case, then what's going to happen is they're going to sell it. Then that meta order is going to finish. There will be a short-term mean reversion period, and then it's going to go dead. I suppose you can trade that short-term mean reversion period. But with the way that things have been going, that short-term mean reversion period in treasuries is only going to be a few ticks. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. It's, like looking for a reversal trade, I don't think really makes sense here. Yesterday, when we got that reversal trade, like there was some really strong flows, associated with it for starters. And then you had like a really good technical setup on top of it where, you were going to see all these trap traders. And we had a reason to believe that a flow might come through, which would be, speculators speculating that actually the market is reading that news wrong because of revisions and whatnot, right? But on a Friday where like we're not really sure what's driving the flows here, what's most likely to happen on a Friday is the big guys get their business done and then they leave. So I don't think you say when. I don't think a reversal trade makes sense here. If you really like held my feet to the fire, I think the best trade I could come up with right now is trying to take a tick between 31.5 and 113 even. Otherwise, I kind of think that the opportunity for the day is mostly over. Watch there's some huge rally come in here. Prove me wrong. Headline comes through. Iran planning on attacking Israel tonight. Yada yada. Everybody bids up to the highs. It's crazy trend. Could happen. So meanwhile, on Reddit, author Stephen King shows off his new Kamala Harris I'm Speaking shirt. Is that really good branding? Like, man, I don't know. I just can't get myself into like their heads and the mentality where like a shirt that says I'm speaking is funny. It kind of just reminds me of everything that I hate about Kamala Harris. An intellectual lightweight that doesn't really seem to have any clue what's going on and yet demands our attention. But it's interesting that that's what they're going with. 1.8K comments on that thread? You've got to be kidding me. There is a lot of comments, but it's just kind of like, yeah, blah blah blah. Nothing interesting. Not information, not arguments, not. Yeah, putting one of the cringiest things she does on a t-shirt is not the win you think it is, Steven. Hey, and that's actually in positive vote territory, so. How is she speaking? Well, she is supposed to give a speech today, though. Not a press conference, but she is supposed to give a speech today. You know, I'm not actually, now that you think about it, I'm not sure which incident Harris is actually that Stephen King is referring to for that t-shirt. I can definitely recall in my mind hearing Kamala Harris saying I'm speaking, like maybe during a debate or something, but that's not like a famous thing. So I don't know where that's coming from. Just found your channel. Love your content. Do you trade for? No. That would suck. No. I have a day job. I am a site reliability engineer. That's how I'm able to do like all of this programming and stuff like that. But I did work for, a bank before. And that's kind of like where I didn't trade for the bank, but that was kind of like where I picked up all of the information, know what to learn and everything, come in and do this. But no, I really think that trying to day trade for a living, and especially day trade futures for a living, is kind of a crazy thing to shoot for, to be honest with you. It's extremely difficult to do, and even if you're successful, I think you might hate it. So it's a lot of stress, right? So it's not for a living. No. I always try and hammer that home, because I see a lot of people, they're young kids, they're looking for a career or something like that, some path to go down that will bring them more income and that they can build their life around. And like, man, day trading is like the worst one that you could do, man. It really is. I can get away with spending as much time and energy on day trading as I do, because I have a really lucrative career that kind of facilitates it. When I say facilitates it, I mean like it, with the time that my job starts, fits in with the schedule and everything, and it's computers, which is beneficial to the day trading, and it gives me enough time to read articles while I'm taking breaks and things like that, right? But I will see some people that are like, I'm going to quit my day job and then I'm going to go and learn to become a day trader. And don't do that. That's a dumb idea. Please suggest order flow book. Okay. You mean a book? So the best piece of empirical information on the subject of order flow is this book. I always keep it on the desk for if people ask me this question. Trades, Quotes, and Prices, Financial Markets Under the Microscope by Jean-Philippe Bouchot, Julius Bonnard, who are the other people? Jonathan Donier and Martin Gould. By the way, oh no, this is a different guy. This is the new book that I'm reading. It just came out. I pre-ordered it, and I got it this week. Making Sense of Chaos by Doyne Farmer. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think that this was one of the guys that was key in the discovery of the square root law. But I digress. That book has nothing to do with order flow. Trades, Quotes, and Prices. Financial Markets Under the Microscope. And this is, okay, like when you look at this is real shit. Look at all those formulas. Okay, look at all of this math. It is, okay, we're going to develop a mathematical model for the markets, and then we're going to compare the results of our mathematical model against the empirical data that we see in the markets to try and understand why the markets might do the things that it does. And that is able to prove to us certain things about, market behaviors that are different from random. Why does the market move the way that it does? And unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily give you like okay, so that means that here's this straight setup that you should take every time, and then you do that and you make money. No, it's way more complicated than that. But it does give us a lot of useful information that can inform our trading and kind of help us refine our entries and so forth. And I discuss the kind of like the key findings in there in my videos about proven market behaviors And then there was another study that came after this book called the Inelastic Markets Theory that is really kind of an extension of that. Basically, it's like, okay, so based on all of the things that we know about the market, does that mean that financial markets are inelastic? Let's see. They go and they look. Yes, they are. And then that explains why trading is so hard. So that's the best source of information that they're going to give you. And honestly, most of what I have here on this channel is me taking that book and other research studies that I've read and just applying it to you as a retail day trader. Because everybody assumed that stuff only mattered to institutional traders. And I'm saying, no, that actually there are some things that we as retail traders can glean from it. It also kind of shoots down, disproves a lot of ideas in the retail day trading community about how things work. So it's also useful in that case where it can kind of deter you from bad ideas. Because basically what we're doing here is you're trying to build trader intuition. So one of the most important things in building an intuition system is feeding that system with correct data. Because otherwise it's garbage in, garbage out. Right? That's what most people are doing. They're saying, okay, I'm going to put up as many tools as I can. So I've got my DOM up here, and there's all of these different columns. So I'm going to add as many columns as I can. And there's these charts. So I'm going to add these charts and all of the indicators on the charts that look pretty and are interesting to me. And then I'm going to watch all of this stuff as the market moves along. And I'm going to say, what's working right now? And then just kind of try and build something off of what appears to be working right now. And what happens when you try and build your intuition off of a system like that is most of what you're looking at is noise. And so the model just comes up with noise. What you have to do is you have to go and find proven information that we've gone and we've looked at the market. I can show you with actual data from the market that the market has a tendency to do certain things. Now I know what that correct, like proven information is. I can now watch the market with that information in mind and build my intuition based off of that. Now we're going to get a system that is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. And I think that if you do that and you've got the right information and you work at it, that most people can at least get to break even. But most people won't do that, right? In the end, because of the very nature of markets and day trading, most day traders have to lose anyways. But I think that we could get all of our guys on the at least break-even side. Because right now, it's like 95% of retail day traders lose, right? That's too high. It shouldn't be that high. And I argue the only reason it's that high, or the only way that it could possibly be that high, is because retail day traders are doing something dumb. They believe something that's not true. And it is. They believe technical analysis is effective on short time frames, and it's not. Because it's too simple. The market sniffs those things out and, arbitrages them away so that they're not edges anymore. That's why you have to build an intuition instead, because intuition is more complicated than what we understand. Right? You're creating a neural network in your brain that's able to do some processes that we just don't even consciously understand. A complicated system that can actually have an edge in the market over like a set mechanical system of rules that I could describe to you. Right? Let's see here. We are at 30.5, which was the last Friday closed. We accomplished nothing for the week. No, yeah. The whole week is kind of weird. But like this comes back to this thing that's like, Okay, momentum is up. The direction of the economy, I think that should suggest that the treasuries go up and that you want to buy treasuries and everything. But pricing wise, it's going to be a 25 basis point cut, not a 50 basis point cut. There's still too many people pricing in a 50 basis point cut. So that's sell. And so we kind of get stuck in this in-between space where I think that things probably will, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, break one way or the other. And it's probably like it will break down first. If there's not going to be a recession, then it will break down. And, you know, then the market will kind of stay in this range based on we're just going to slowly bring rates down. In fact, it might be worse than that. It might be we did a 25 basis point cut, and then the economy still looks okay, and that things are actually like really going really well and are really euphoric. Maybe we should hold off on further cuts until we better understand the impact of the cut that we just made, and then the treasuries would probably have to sell down, because that would mean that they don't cut rates as quickly as they wanted, right? I think that at the moment, that's a greater risk than the chance that they buy the treasuries and just, you know, gangbusters higher because we're going to go into a recession. Still a possibility, but I think it's the less likely possibility. So, because we're stuck in that, yeah, you get this week that there was a lot of movement and there was a lot of opportunity, but let me pull up the chart here. It didn't really move. Right? I'm just going to end up like that. Granted, we haven't really meaningfully tested the downside yet. That's why, again, I kind of suspect that it's coming. Kind of suspect that it could be coming. By the way, I said, you know, like maybe you could take a tick between 31.5 and 113 even, but I don't think that looking for a big trade beyond that really makes sense, because what's most likely to happen is there's be a lot of liquidity and trade at 113 even, and they will kind of get stuck there, and it will be hard to get away from that spot, right? And what has happened for the last, like, who knows how long, right? Well, they hung out at 31.5 for a while, and now we're at 113 even, and it's been almost 20 minutes. Now, in the like 30 to 45 minute period is when you can maybe kind of start to get a new move. And I am seeing some signs that the 5-year is kind of doing something. So I don't think that it makes sense to take a trade this late into a Friday, but we may get a little bit of a move here. There might be a little bit left in it. Is it the hero trade? I don't think so. No, I think that he wants to go lower. Don't you think he wants to go lower? Oh, you know what? There was a story we were reading earlier and I didn't finish reading it. So it's talking about the child tax credit and, okay. So did you hear this one, Uzi? Her broader economic policy will include a 4-year plan to lower housing costs, including a $25,000 down payment for assistance for first-time homebuyers and actions aimed at spurring the construction of new housing. Guys, when you give people money to buy a thing, it increases the demand for the thing and increases the price of it. It's going to raise the cost of housing for everybody, even if it's just new home buyers that can do it. But guess what? That means that new home buyers are going to be the ones that actually are ending up in the homes, but it's going to make the price of everything go up still. Ugh. Why are politicians? You know what makes me mad the most about this particular issue? She went to the university and graduated in politics and economics. So, like, she should know that this is a dumb idea. She should know. So, did she not pay attention in class, or is this just, like, but it's going to get me elected? Because I kind of think that that's what's going on. I came across an interesting occurrence. Long Euro FX futures 5 a.m. and hold for 2 hours. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. Maybe. Could be a thing. I think that like a trade based on a time of a day is actually kind of more likely to yield something than some of the setups that people typically bring in, like based on some technical indicator or something like that. Because, like, look, there is movement in the market at certain times of day for reasons, because exchanges open up and that sort of a thing. And so could there be a persistent order flow that means that you're more likely to make money by holding for a 2 hours, 3 days a week period? Totally can. Totally can be. But did you backtest it? Like, is that something that you ran over 5 years of data and found worked? Because, I mean, if you ran it against 5 years of data and that worked, I think I might try trading that then. 20-year back. Oh my! Can you show me? Can you post it on Discord? Can you post like a stats on Discord? I really would like to see that, especially if you have like a running cumulative profit, so that I could see over that 20-year period how well it did. Okay, I don't see anything else in this piece about what Harris's economic policy is. It kind of is starting to sound to me like that her economic policy thing is going to be like a big piece, and that like probably what will happen is people will focus on the more controversial parts of it, like giving people money to buy houses that will increase prices, price controls, etc., and some of the other proposals might get lost. Let's see. It'll be an interesting day today, guys, in politics, I think. Well, it's about, I was just kind of browsing around, but I don't think I'm going to find anything that's really going to keep us around here. So you guys enjoy the weekend. I think that this is still time period where, get busy, read books, do back testing, do your programming, right? Because I think that this fall is going to be crazy, and you're going to be exhausted. You're not going to have the energy to do that stuff later in the year, right? But right now, you've got a 2 or 3 week lull. So get it done, huh? I think I'm gonna see if I can't get really big progress on that dog kennel this weekend. So I'll see you guys on Monday. In the meantime, stay